Hello, illustration class. My name is Jerry Visick. I'll be your instructor for the semester. And what I want to do here for this introductory screen recording is go over our Canvas shell and talk about how we're going to get started for the semester. So when you go into Canvas, let's go back into Canvas here. When you go into Canvas, you're going to look for your class over here. You look for it in courses, and then you look for 620. 11,862, and that should bring you right to our Canvas shell. Okay, so here's our Canvas shell, and within here we've got this image that you can click to start, or you can click modules. Either way, you'll get to modules, clicking this or clicking modules, which takes you to the coursework. Over here we have home, which we're in. We have modules. Once again, if you click that, you go there. This is for Zoom recordings. This is for discussions. This is everyone in the class, syllabus, announcements, and assignments. So once again, if I click modules or click this, I'll go to the same place, which is right here. So week 1, we go to week 2, etc. Before you know it, the semester will be over. So week 1, there's course contact. So I have an office hour every Monday from 2 to 3. And that the office hour link is right below there. So you click that to come to my office hour from 2 to 3. Response times to emails. I'll respond to emails on a daily basis, Monday through Thursday, but may respond a little slower on the weekends. But I usually do get back to you on the weekend too. Be sure to email me through our Canvas shell over here, guys, so I can respond in a timely manner. As I'll be responding to your emails with what, I have a typo there? Within a reasonable amount of time, please respond to me in the same manner so we can keep the communication flowing. So email me here, guys. I know you see my email address here for the district, but I'll explain that in a little bit. Well, I'll explain it now. If you email me here, I see the email for this class right away. If you email me here, it goes to my district email, and I get, sometimes 100 emails a day in there. So if you want me to see your email right away, email here. Assignments will be scheduled on Mondays at 9 a.m. on our Canvas assignment page, as grading will be a combination of your projects combined. Turning them in on time is crucial. Well, each assignment is going to have a due date. And it's usually going to be a Thursday morning is going to be the due date. So let's save this. Then things are moving a little slowly here. Back to modules. So student resources, you guys here, if you go to, this is just Pearce Students Resources link. Icebreakers. I want all you guys to do this. Now, when do I have this due? This is due on... It's due September 8th at 11:59 p.m. at the latest. The sooner the better, guys. So with this icebreaker, what we're going to do is you guys will come in here. I introduce myself. I ask you some questions about yourself. So read these questions. Then embed a photo of yourself. Make sure you embed a photo of yourself, because if you don't, you won't be able to embed anything in there in the future. So let's talk about how this works. If you're going to respond to my icebreaker or to any discussion we have in here, you'll click reply and then click, hi, I'm, such and such student. My major is undeclared or art or what have you. You answer the other questions. Why are you interested in illustration? Is there an artist you're inspired by? Then to embed an image, and you need to know how to embed images because we'll be doing it all semester. If I want to embed an image, if I do it now, it's going to go right there. So I'm going to hit return and bring this cursor down here. Then I can go here to this little landscape to embed an image. Or I can go insert, which gives me all these options of what to embed. But what we're going to be embedding are images. So let's go back here to embed image, upload image. I'm going to go to my photos. And let's just, that's my daughter celebrating her 21st birthday. So there, I can put the picture in, pretend that's me, but it's not, it's my daughter. And then I can resize it too. So there's high, there's the image. If I think it's too big, all I need to do is click it and I'll get these little square boxes and I can reduce it. Then you can post the reply. So now that's me replying to me, but that's how you guys will embed images in here because I won't accept links in the discussions. Has to be embedded images. That means when we scroll through, we can see it right away. Okay? So I'm going to delete that now because that has nothing to do with our class. But that's how you do it. You reply, you write something, you embed an image by, clicking that little, let's show you again where it is. Clicking this little landscape thing here. That's mountains and a moon, I guess. So, cool. Let's go back to modules. There's a compositional rules video I want everybody to watch. So there's a colleague of mine put this together, and he talks about a lot of do's and don'ts with composition. I want every one of you to watch it thoroughly, because one of the things we want to stay away from, as you'll see in this video, is having things dead center, having this sort of symmetrical balance. We don't want to have that. We always want to have balance, but we want an asymmetrical balance. But if you watch this video, it's going to help you a lot to start understanding, rules of composition, and better enable you to create, interesting illustrations. So watch that. We'll get to the perspective assignment, and we'll get to the thumbnails for a perspective project. But when we get to this perspective assignment, which I'm going to come back to this, okay? You have until September 23rd to do this. I'm going to go over this entirely, thoroughly in a little while to explain what your first project is. Alrighty. Then you're going to submit thumbnails for your perspective project. So that's going to be due on September 6th. So that'll be next Monday, September 6th. I want you guys to submit a thumbnail. So when you submit a thumbnail, you're going to, once again, you're going to reply to this one. Then you're going to submit a thumbnail, here, and then you upload. I go to my photos and let's see if I can upload. I don't know what that photo is. There's my dog. Let's put him in there. Lying on a very expensive Persian rug. So you'd upload your thumbnail. You'd take a picture of your thumbnail and you'd put it in there. And then it also says that, see, there's Frank now. I'm going to reduce this. So that's where your thumbnail would go. If you want to write anything about your thumbnail, you could. But also, I want you to comment on at least one of your classmates' thumbnails with analytical observations about what is working or not working and why. Full credit cannot be earned if comments aren't included. So you guys are going to have 19 to 20 discussions this semester, and they're going to be divided up into first half and second half. The first half of the semester's discussions will be worth 10 points total, or 100 points. Because everything's going to be, 100 points. And the second half will be 100 points total, and then the final critique will be 100 points total. So there'll be 300 points possible for all the discussions together, which is the equivalent of 3 projects. So missing one discussion is not that big a deal, since you're going to have, 9 or 10 of them the first half and 9 or 10 of them the second half, and then the final critique. But if you miss a lot of discussions, all of a sudden it can start whittling away at the points. So let's get rid of this. So that's how you would submit a thumbnail. Okay, back to our modules. Down here, guys, I have, since we're going to do a perspective project, and there's the discussion. But let's talk about that for a minute first. This is a page. This is a discussion when you see the little captions, okay? When it's a page like this where you see the dog ear leaf or whatever that is, that's pages. This is discussion. That's a page. An assignment always has this little pencil here with this paper. So that's how we know assignments. Once again, there's a discussion. Page, 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 page. Okay, so with all those pages in there, I want you to go through them all. So what I'm going to do here is first talk about this very first assignment that is due on September 23rd. It's the perspective assignment. So you guys are going to be working on a 15 by 20 inch cold press illustration board. You're going to be using pencils, erasers. Illustration 2 and 3 students will be using the illustration cold press board and either using acrylic paint, markers, or other color mediums. If you're in illustration 3, if you're in 622, you can work digitally all semester if you wish to, but that's only third semester, guys. Certainly not 620 or 621. So thumbnail drawings of the illustration determining values, perspective, composition, and subject matter must be approved before beginning the illustration and are required in the assignment. Will they be required in the discussions? So your thumbnails can be like 5.5 by 7 inches or smaller as long as they're in ratio with the finished piece. Our 621, 622 students must do value and color studies before starting the piece. So the piece is going to be 14 by 17. And you'll see some examples down here where this is a 14 by 17 rectangle in the middle of the 15 by 20 inch board. So there's 20, 15, and then this is a 14 by 17 rectangle drawn in the middle of it, as is this. As are all of these, whether you see the entire board or not. It's a 14 by 17 rectangle. Now, what's cool about that? Well, 14 by 17 fits into ready-made mats, which saves you money if you're going to frame something. But then the other thing is when you're doing your thumbnails, if you do them 5.5 by 7, that's in direct ratio to this. It's like 50% of this. So you always want to do your thumbnails, your preliminary drawings, on a small scale. But make sure it's in ratio. If you do a square thumbnail and then have to put it into an 11 by 14 format, it's not going to work. It has to be in ratio. So you're going to draw a room in 1 or 2 point perspective, your bedroom, living room, bathroom, hallway, etc. When you have this resolved, you're going to superimpose a fantasy or surrealist scene in the room. There should be some indication of narrative, either psychological or visual. So you're going to determine a light source where all the darks, middles, and lights, shadows, etc. will be. When you made a decision on how the entire piece will be created, draw it on a 14 by 17 format on the board in graphite. An asymmetrically balanced composition is required. The values to be created entirely with cross-hatching. Talking to 620 students here. First semester. There's the instructions. If you're in 621 or 622, you can draw any interior or exterior in 1, 2, or 3 point, and you guys can do it from observation or your imagination. Otherwise, it's the same criteria, but you're going to be doing it in color. Illustrations should demonstrate the following: strong composition, including visual interest and value contrast. So value contrast is light and dark, and the range of light to dark. And I need to see an indication of process, including thumbnail drawing. So we don't just start a drawing on a board. We don't just go here and say, I hope this looks good, and start drawing it. We do little preliminaries. We do thumbnails. There should be good technique, including craftsmanship applicable to all mediums. So depending on whatever medium you're working with, in this case, it will be pencil. First semester, good technique. Strong drawing, including proportion, perspective, value, contrast, and clarity. We have to see what's going on. Illustration is a communication type of art where we're trying to convey a message, whether it's psychological or it's, literal, verbatim, whatever it is. We're trying to convey something, and we want the viewer to be able to see it. Imagination and originality. So that means, you come up with something that took some thought. Don't come up with the first thing that comes to mind. And narrative as it pertains to the project. Late policy on every assignment. Assignments are dropped a half letter grade for the first week they are late, and an additional letter grade for every week after. So if you don't submit an assignment on time, let's say an assignment is, this one's due, I have the due date here, let's look at it. This one's due on September 23rd, 11 a.m., which is a Thursday. So if you don't have it turned in by September 23rd at 11 a.m., it's late. It's late. So the late policy is if they're not submitted on time, they're already a week late, as they're not available for discussions and critiques. So if it's 10 minutes late or a week late, it's a half a letter grade. But then every week after that they are late, an additional letter grade gets dropped. So I should probably write that in there, actually. So here we go to our late policy. Okay, it already says that. They're dropped a half letter grade for the first week and an additional letter grade for every week after. But the real catch-22 with that, guys, is you have to do all the projects to pass the class. So if you get them done on time, you're going to have a lot less stress because then you're fresh to start the next one. Procrastination is your biggest enemy. So try to get the work done on time. They're open. The projects are open all semester, but if you turn the first project in, let's say by Thanksgiving, you're not going to get any points for it. You'll get credit for it, but you've already missed it by so many weeks, you won't get any points. Missing the first week is not too bad, because it's just a half a letter grade. So if it was an A to begin with, it's an A minus. But every week after that's a full letter grade. Okay. Criteria for success. Illustration involves intelligent planning, process, and time management. Don't get in a rush or procrastinate, and you have plenty of time to create successful work. Follow the instructions carefully to ensure a successful illustration. Doing your own thing with these drawings will not fulfill the criteria. So what do we have here? We have a rendering techniques for lighting. So you guys in illustration 1, there's this video I have in here. Come on, video, open. There it is. I'm going to silence this. And this particular video, I go over cross-hatching, and I also go over some pencil blending techniques, which isn't going to apply to anything we're doing in class except for thumbnails. And then I even go over how to do charcoal. But for this assignment, I want you guys to really watch how I do the cross-hatching. And I talk about the pencils. I talk about the technique. I lecture on it quite a bit. So really make sure you're watching this in its entirety. And then, if you have any questions, come to my office hour or email me. But I explain very specifically about how the cross-hatching is done. Okay. Illustration 2 and potentially 3 students, if you wanted to do dry brush acrylic, there's a video for that where I go over all the a whole method for being able to successfully paint a painting in dry brush. So there's a whole lot of that going on. Now, you guys in first semester are going to be working in black and white all semester. 620 is working in black and white. But if you guys later on want to do this type of painting in black and white, you may. You certainly may. Okay, the image below is an example of process and illustration. This student made a value thumbnail, made a color thumbnail, and then started executing the finished piece here. That's tape over here. So they went from this to this to this. Rather than just going to the board and hoping it turned out well, the student carefully planned everything until they got to this point. Examples of perspective assignment. So you guys are going to get to draw a room in 1 or 2 point perspective. So what you see here is a 2 point perspective room. This was the student's room, and then she drew, either herself as a child or she invented a child and has sitting there looking out a window at the spaceman. So the room is normal. I guess I don't know if all this stuff's in her room, but the room's fairly normal. She could have had, surrealism in the room itself as well. But the surrealism here is that either she's floating in outer space or there's a guy floating outside of her window. She's on a second or third floor or whatever. And everything's done in cross-hatching, as you can see. And it's asymmetrically balanced, which means it is balanced, but it's not static symmetry. If this wall were right in the middle and that she were right in front of the wall in the middle, that would make it cut in half. So one good thing with 2-point is if you have your wall, your corner off center, that helps a lot. This is for 621, so that's color illustration for second semester. That's Kyoto. This student actually drew their bed and nightstand as they have it, and the floor as they have it. This is all done in cross-hatching too. And then she turned her room into a mouse cage with water here and, whatever other mouse stuff you need in there. She has a laptop. This student created this really, really wonderful character inside of her room, and then created, all these plants and this lamp, and then this guy down here, conversing with the main character. And there's an art supply box, there's a palette, there's some brushes. So that worked really well too. And it's asymmetrically balanced. This student, it's asymmetrically balanced. Once again, by not having the corner in the center, that helps. But also it's a matter of weight. So if you have darkness here, she has darkness here to balance it. She has darkness here to balance it. There's a whole lot of visual weight here. There's a whole lot of visual weight here. So she doesn't have any areas that are unnecessary. You can have empty areas as long as it's balanced out. And then she drew her room. I wanted her to draw more furniture than she did, but this is kind of cool. This and this. And then whatever that was. And then she threw this big tongue in there and railroad tracks and spatula and nailing things to the wall. And then this student, also in cross-hatching, just put pigeons in her home. And then she's got a little guy there. All done in cross-hatching in 1-point perspective. There's a couple more. I mean, you can look at all these, but you can see they're all examples of just taking an ordinary room and then putting some type of surrealism into the room. And this is what I like, the faces here, but try to stay away from eyeballs. And so many times students are just doing eyeball looking in the room. I really want you to think about how you can make your piece original. How can you make your piece unpredictable? So when somebody sees it, they're like, wow, that's great. I've never seen anything like that before. There's the rubric again, but that's explained in every project. So if you're in 622 or 621 or 622, second or third semester, you'd work in color. 622 can work digitally, and you guys in second and third semester can create your perspective from your imagination or from some other setting. First semester must use a room at home. Now, when you're drawing the room at home, let's say you've got, she went to town with a wood grain. If you got that, go ahead and do it, but you can edit. So let's say you have some real fancy Rococo furniture and a Persian rug and some really wild wallpaper over here, what have you. You don't have to draw every detail you see in the room, but you have to use the room for inspiration for setting up your setting, and the perspective has to be correct. Here's one from someone's imagination done in dry brush. Here's one from someone's imagination. She actually painted her kitchen and then painted that in acrylic. She has arachnophobia, this student. Okay, so let's go back to week 1 module again. So there's the perspective assignment. We're going to turn in thumbnails, a week from Monday. Now here, guys, I've got perspective room lectures, perspective box lecture. So all these are here for you guys. So the perspective room lectures here, I kind of go over come on, load. how you create 1 and 2 point perspective. And how to start it with a layout. So this is a lot of perspective, getting a refresher for perspective. Here I talk about 2 point. Eventually I talk about how you lay it out. So there's the layout for 2 point. I have a layout for 1 point in there also that shows you how to get started on these drawings. So that's in there. Now, that lecture there, Perspective Room Lectures, is to talk about how to start 1 and 2 point rooms. But here, a few years ago at another school, a student of mine recorded a bunch of my perspective lectures in class. So you don't have to go through all these guys. She put them in here piecemeal. You don't have to go through all those, but they kind of start off with here. This is actually in class. Here with me. Come on, load. What's that? Guys, that's an ad, I guess, so I apologize for that. That should not be in there. Okay, so I start talking about from the beginning here how to draw boxes. And I go through it real thoroughly, how to do it in perspective. And boxes are important to know because they help you to be able to put furniture in your room. So here too, you can see I'm continuing with the boxes. I think these first couple of recordings are almost all exclusively about the boxes, how to make them below, above, and on eye level. Here's another one, still talking about boxes. So knowing how to draw transparent boxes, guys, really helps you to be able to draw just about anything in perspective. Because boxes have 6 sides. They have a top, bottom, front, back, and sides. So the better you are at boxes using 1 or 2 point perspective, the better you're going to be in perspective, period. So then here's another one. And once again, you guys don't feel like you have to watch all these, but if you get stuck on a particular spot, this can really kind of help bail you out. Here, I think I'm doing 2 point boxes. Yeah, I'm doing 2 point boxes here. And explains it all in detail. Eventually, further on in these videos, I actually break down how to draw 1 and 2 point room. So I start from scratch with all this. So it goes on, and once again, you guys can go through these and use whatever it is that you think is really beneficial to you. Here I'm doing a 1 point perspective room. So there's a whole bunch of them in here, and you can just kind of pick and choose what it is you'd like to use. So that would be the same perspective lectures if we were in class. So I'm not having you do a perspective project and say, I hope all you guys remember perspective, because here's perspective room lectures. Here's the whole, plethora of perspective lectures. And here's a perspective box lecture that I did explaining, once again, how to do the boxes. And I break it down. Its camera's out of focus there. Camera will be back in focus in a minute. There we go. I break it down how to do these boxes. Sometimes in my videos you see my dog in there. So I really, really break it down, guys. So if you're struggling with 1 and 2 point boxes or 1 and 2 point rooms, any of that stuff, there's plenty of resources right here in our first week 1, Welcome to Illustration module. So there's the assignment. There's where you're submitting your thumbnails. Here's perspective room lectures, perspective lectures, the whole bunch of them, perspective box lecture. Here I talk about thumbnails. Okay, when doing thumbnails, it's a good idea to draw multiple ideas for settings on one page. When one idea is decided upon, copy the image onto one sheet multiple times by scanning it or using a copier so it doesn't have to be redrawn every time a thumbnail needs to be reworked. Multiple pages can even be made of the same thumbnail to work many ideas in the same setting. So if that's confusing you here, let's look at this one for a minute. Let's say you drew that for a thumbnail and you put, like an angry giraffe in there arguing with a wine bottle. I don't know. I'm just thinking right off the top of my head. If you copy this thing like 4 times, just on a sheet of, it could be on a sheet of print paper if you want, like computer paper. If you copy it 4 times, if you want to, or you could copy it 4 pages 4 times, you have 16 of these. Then if you want to draw an idea in here and you don't like it, you don't have to redraw the room again. Over here, you can draw another idea. If that one didn't work out, try another one. Or maybe you like all 3 and you can't decide which one. But if you make copies of this drawing, you don't have to keep redrawing this every time you want to try another thumbnail. So what I have here is attached below are examples of multiple pages, multiple thumbnails on one page. So we have a page and you're working out different thumbnails. If you're in first semester, you have to do a room. There's a 1-point room, a 2-point room. If you're in second or third semester, if you want to do outside images, you can. So there's multiple on one. Then there's a 1-point thumbnail. Then multiple 1-point thumbnails of the same image. Here's a 2-point thumbnail, multiple 2-point thumbnails of the same image. So when you're doing your thumbnails, when you guys have to turn the discussions in a week from Monday, you're going to have one of these or more that you're going to have your idea in. You're going to have the room sort of roughly drawn out like this. Doesn't have to have any detail. And you're going to kind of put in your ideas into it, whatever type of surrealism you're going to put into it. You can start thinking about lighting this week if you want to, but we'll get more into that next week. But I need to see your idea. I need to see your composition and your idea. So that's how to approach thumbnails. I should probably rename that how to approach thumbnails. Okay. There's the dry brush video again that's in the perspective assignment, and I talk about, surface preparation for dry brush, palette preparation for dry brush, the demo for doing dry brush. Then I have some dry brush paintings I've done in here that you can look at to see how the aesthetic looks when it's finished. So there's that. All for your viewing pleasure, guys. Then there's value contrast that pertains to color. Now this is more for second or third semester. You guys in first semester are going to be trying to make everything, you're going to make everything in black and white, and we have to see good value juxtapositions. That means nothing's camouflaged because it's not surrounded by the same value. You can see this guy's head is darker than the background, so we see his head. If his torso were the same value as the fire, we wouldn't see his torso. So you never want to have the same value next to each other or surrounding each other. But this is a black and white image, and then here's a color image. So by the time you start going to color, you have to have a pretty good understanding of this to begin with, how your values are going to look. Then whatever colors you want to use, you make your colors match the values you have in your value study. So your value study tells you what values there are. This is for second and third semester. Then when you go to color, you can say, this is this light, this is more of a middle tone here, etc. And it helps a great deal. Okay. So that is week 1. And so I want you guys to really read the assignment, thoroughly. And then I want you guys to submit thumbnails. Back to thumbnails for Perspective Project. And I want you to submit the icebreaker. That's where you say hello, hi, how are you? Okay. What else did I want to talk about in here? Oh, the syllabus, of course. So you can find the syllabus one of 2 places. You can find it here. Actually, I think it is. It's just here. It's here, so excuse me. Here's the syllabus, where it says syllabus. First semester, second semester, third semester. So let's go over this. So there's my name. You guys can call me Jerry. That's my email, but only email me through here for this class. So there's my email, class meeting time. This is an asynchronous class, guys. I'm not allowed to have any meetings. So there will be plenty of recordings, but there won't be any live meetings. I apologize for that, but that's a new policy. So when you email me, let's go back to that for a minute. So we're at the top of the syllabus here, and we talk about email. When you email me for the class, click Inbox. And right here, this little icon where it shows the pencil, you can write. You select the course. So for us, you guys in first semester, there you go. 2, you can put teacher. That's me. You can put, classwork, and then you can write whatever you want, and you send it, and it'll pop up right here when you email me in the Canvas page. If you don't email me in the Canvas page, it goes to my district email, and once again, your email can get lost in there because I get emails from everywhere in there, the district, the department, the Pierce College, outside, emails. Next week, we're going to continue the perspective assignment, and you're going to do thumbnails that are further developed, but I haven't opened that yet. That's what's going to happen next week. You're going to continue the perspective assignment. So let's get back to our syllabus. Course description, students will explore, or depending on the semester, continue to explore the visual language of illustration with an emphasis on composition, staging, drama, lighting, and storytelling. Art 620 students will be working in black and white all semester unless color is approved beforehand. So you guys in first semester, if I see that you're really getting it down, all the fundamentals of good picture making in black and white, which includes, proportion, technique, value contrast, which is the range of light to dark, good perspective, I consider letting you do color for the last piece and sometimes the last 2, depending on what your level is. Listen, if you haven't had Drawing 1 or 201, which is Drawing 1 at Pierce College, you're going to be swimming upstream real hard. It's a prerequisite. If you got in here without having taken that, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. So if you don't have Drawing 1, I'd really think twice about this class, because this class is not really a drawing class, but taking drawing skills and applying them to storytelling. Art 201 is a great class, Drawing 1. It's the foundation for drawing. And of course, the prerequisite for 621 is 620. The prerequisite for 622 is 621. Okay, this is all about if you're in class, and I keep hoping we're back in class, but we're not yet still. And so I talk about the cell phones and food and et cetera, that you wouldn't have your cell phones on in class, but it doesn't apply because we're online. But meeting deadlines is important. Try to always meet your deadlines, guys. Think of this as your job. If you think of every class as a job, it's like you're trying to do it professionally. When you go into whatever field you go into professionally, you'll already be a professional. It'll be a seamless transition rather than being in school and saying, I'll get serious when I'm out of school. It doesn't work that way. So one of the things about being a professional is meeting deadlines, because if you don't meet deadlines for pay, they won't pay you and they'll never hire you again. Or if you're working on a staff and you're not meeting the deadlines, chances are you're going to end up getting fired. So try to learn how to meet deadlines now, and then when it comes time for you guys to meet deadlines for money, you already know what you're doing. I have to put this in because it's been happening more and more since we're online now. I've been getting a lot of plagiarism. Not a lot. Most students don't do it at all, but I've been getting it. So all work must be original. Any work that is copied, plagiarized, will constitute a fail for that project and could result in disciplinary action. So the disciplinary action is I fail you for the project that not you guys. If somebody plagiarizes, they copy an image. They put the Mona Lisa and say, this is my painting. So the student gets failed for that project and gets reported to the school. I think the school sits on it. I think they put it in your school records, but they don't share it with anybody else. But if you plagiarize twice, from what I understand, they then make it part of your record if you're going to transfer someplace. And they also, a lot of times, will kick you out of the school if you plagiarize twice. It depends from school to school, but just the thing is, just don't plagiarize. So here's Merriam-Webster's definition: steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, to use another's production without crediting the source, to commit literary theft, to present a new and original idea or product derived from an existing source. In other words, plagiarism is an act of fraud. It involves both stealing someone else's work and lying about it afterwards. And guys, I catch people, if I think they're plagiarizing, if I do enough research, I always find where it came from. And if I don't find where it came from, sometimes a classmate will say, I've seen that image before, and they'll send it to me saying, the student stole this. So, and the other thing, if we plagiarize, I have to say this, guys, I'm sorry. The other thing, if we plagiarize, we're not learning anything, you know. Okay, all work must be completed to pass the course. That's a good text for the business side of illustration, the education of an illustrator. But any good illustration you like to look at, you know, whether it is, you know, book covers or it's graphic novels or comic books or background animation, caricatures, political cartoons, any illustration you like to look at, you know, developing that mental encyclopedia of good art is a good thing. Okay, supplies. Now you guys are going to need a notebook, you know, something to take notes in. It could be a sketchbook. It can just be a regular sketchbook if you want. But if you are sitting through this thing right now, I would hope you're taking notes. Because if you're taking notes, you'll remember everything and you'll have it to refer back to. And with future recordings, please take notes. You can also use your notebook or sketchbook for working out your thumbnails. Okay, you need a pad of drawing paper. Let me edit that. It should be 50-pound weight. Oop, cancel. It should be, I think I can still do that. Okay, never mind that. So you would need a pad of drawing paper, probably 80 pound. 50 pounds really light, 80 pound. You don't need to get the large pad of tracing paper, but it helps if you're trying to transfer work. And you're going to need several 15 by 20 inch white cold press illustration boards. So you'll be drawing your 14 by 17 rectangle in the middle of that 15 by 20 inch board, but you're going to need the boards. And I think you're going to need 5, 6, 7, 8 of the boards, maybe 9. You want to have something to cover your work with. Now, you guys aren't, the way you're turning in your work with me is you're going to take good pictures of it and turn it in. But you want to protect your work anyway. So, you know, whether you're covering it with a sheet of construction paper to cover it entirely or a piece of acid-free paper, better yet, you want to cover your work so you guys, you know, nobody steps on it. If you don't cover your work, it gets messed up, inevitably. Assorted pencils. So you guys in first semester, I want you to get these pencils. 4H, 3H, 2H, HB, 2B, 3B, and 4B. So 4H, 3H, 2H, HB, 2B, 3B, and 4B. Those pencils. They go from lighter to darker. The higher the H's, the lighter. The higher the B's, the darker. Get a kneaded eraser, one of those gray erasers that you can knead like dough. Some kind of a hard eraser, either a pink pearl eraser or a white eraser, you know, a blue eraser. Always be careful with these erasers that when you're going to erase with a pink eraser or any eraser, that it's not stale and brittle to where you leave a big pink mark on your illustration. Always rub your eraser to make sure you have fresh eraser to erase with, because I've seen people put big pink streaks all the way across their illustration and they're sad. So always make sure you're using clean erasers that are ready to erase. Black pens, I recommend Micron pens, M-I-C-R-O-N. And they can go from 005 up to 08 in a pack. They're archival, which means they last, and they're waterproof. So Micron's good. Staedtler is also good, Staedtler. But you want to have a variety of black archival ink pens. Some kind of stump to blend your to blend your thumbnails, when you're drawing your thumbnails and you want to get value and shading, you need stumps for that. But that first piece, remember, is done in cross-hatching, not with shading by blending. Drafting or artist tape, it looks like masking tape, but it isn't masking tape. It says drafting or artist tape on it, or blue painter's tape that like you get at Home Depot or Lowe's. Because when you want to tape off a border of your work, you don't want to use masking tape because masking tape will tear when you take it off. So you want drafting or artist tape or blue painter's tape. And still with that tape, you want to take it off slowly. You want to take it off very slowly. Transparent push pins, you don't have to get those, but in class they're great when we put the work up. Even if you want to put the work up at home, to look at it from a distance, because a lot of times when we're working on pieces, we want to stand back and look at them, guys. We want to stand back and look at them so we can see them more objectively. Listen, all the lectures won't be this long, guys. Okay. If painting second and third semester, assorted acrylic paints or gouache, possibly watercolors, brushes, colored pencils. Everybody's going to need a T-square. Now, a T-square, I mean, you can Google a T-square, but I prefer the 18-inch T-squares, metal with the inches on it and the plastic T. You see me using a T-square when I talk in the perspective lectures. So a T-square helps you to get good horizontal and vertical lines, and I go over that in the perspective lectures, exactly how to use them. They're magic. A straight edge can be any kind of ruler. It can be a plastic ruler. Sometimes you want to draw a straight line and you don't want to pull out the big T-square for a little line, so a straight edge. X-Acto knife to cut your tape or cut anything else you need to cut. Just be careful with those because they're really sharp. You don't have to get workable spray fixative, but when you spray a piece with spray fixative, it makes it where it's not smear proof. It makes the charcoal or pencil or whatever medium you work with, usually charcoal, pencil, acrylic, and not acrylic, pastels and such. It makes it adhere to the surface a little better. If you're spraying anything with spray fixative, always stand your work up against a wall or against a chair and spray back and forth, right to left, about 18 inches away. Never put your work on the ground, on the floor, and spray it, because if the nozzle drips on your spray fixative, this looks like spray paint. If the nozzle drips, it's going to make a big stain on your piece. So always stand your work up when you're spray fixing it. 8x10 sketchbook, actually, 8.5 by 11, any size sketchbook, guys. And I'm not even sure why that says 8x10. Can I come in here and where did that go? So the sketchbook, any size sketchbook, if you want, because sketchbooks are great to have anyway. If you guys are artists, you always want to be working on sketchbooks all the time. And you can work out your thumbnails in those also and take notes. So the homework hours, we're in class 4.5 hours a week when they're there physically, guys. When we're there physically, we're in class 4.5 hours a week. And then an additional amount of time is probably spent outside of class. So the class can take from 9 to 10 hours a week to do the work, to do a good job of the projects. If you spend an hour on a project that you had 2 weeks on, 3 weeks on, when you should have spent 20 to 30 hours on it, or at least 15 to 20 hours, you spend an hour and it doesn't look good. It's usually because the investment in time and not following instructions and being in a hurry. There's the rubric again. Final grade is a combination of the average of all projects and discussions. As far as attendance, guys, it says more than 2 absences, excessive late arrivals or departures equal 1/2 absence and will result in a letter grade drop. The attendance here, guys, is the participation. That is, your attendance is marked by, are you contributing to the discussions every week? Are you turning in your assignments? Have you spent time in the Canvas shell reading the assignments and watching the lectures? That's how I check your attendance. So if I see you don't turn anything in for a couple of weeks, you like disappeared for 2 weeks, no discussions, no assignments. That would be like if I didn't see you on campus once a week class for like 21 days. So if you don't show up for 2 weeks, that would be 3 weeks that I didn't see you at all. And I usually drop a person because they might end up failing, and I'd rather drop them than have them fail. Okay, what else we got in here? Okay, that's pretty much the only art supply store left in the area in Agora. Obviously, you can order this stuff on Blick and a lot of it on Amazon Prime. And considering the first project, you probably won't start executing the finished piece until sometime, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or even next week. Considering that, you can order your supplies. I'm sure you'll have them by the time you start actually doing the projects. So you don't have to have the projects immediately, but you do have to have something to work out your thumbnails on. So even if it's a piece of computer print paper to work out your thumbnails, you have to have something to start on. So this is the first week. I want you to purchase art supplies, discuss first project, and I want you guys to, of course, work on the thumbnails. If we were in class, I'd be lecturing on perspective that entire class, but you will, continue working on the perspective project. You continue to work on it here. So we have 1, 2, 3 weeks on that first project. The week of September 20th, these are all Mondays, okay? But the projects are due on Thursdays. This is, our school week starts on a Monday. So the week of September 20th, we move into another project, the Heaven or Hell project, for first semester. Second and third semester would be doing a different project, which is listed in the modules, as you'll see. Then we go into a political cartoon, which I'll go over thoroughly with every project as we get to it. I introduce the fairy tale assignment, which I give you 4 weeks on. That's when you rewrite an established fairy tale in first semester, or second or third semester, you can do that or write your own. Either way. But you guys in first semester, I'll talk about it thoroughly, but you're going to take some fairy tale and change it somehow. Then we go to alliteration assignment. Now, the alliteration assignment, I may make either an assignment, because once in a while I'll change it up in the modules. I might make this an assignment that you do on, experience from the coronavirus, society we live in now, or I might do something on social justice. So when we get to this, there's going to be a little wiggle room. Work on that for 2 weeks. Introduce the final project, which is a self-promotion card. We work on that for 2 weeks. And then that Thursday of this week is our final critique. There's second semester, and there is third semester. And then after all this, there's Pierce College board rules. And here's the plagiarism, academic dishonesty once again. There's resources, bookstore, career center, lots and lots of resources for you guys at the end of the syllabus. Okay, back to home. Once again, to get to the modules, I can click modules or click this cat. And we're back here. Now, in future weeks, you're going to see there aren't so many things. This is here because I'm introducing everything, guys. So week 1, course context, student resources, icebreaker, watching this, looking at some of the perspective videos, and then, how to approach thumbnails, the compositional rules video. But then next week, we'll continue working on that project. The week after, we'll continue working on that project. The week after that, we move on to another project. Then we work on that project for a week. Then we move on to another project. Every project's at least 2 weeks. Every project's at least 2 weeks. We don't have a spring break, so don't pay any attention to that. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Once again, guys, my office hours are Mondays, where you can talk to me live, Mondays from right there. You can talk to me live from 2 to 3. So you can find the office hour there. And you should also find the office hour in the syllabus. No, it's not in the syllabus. So office hour is in, excuse me, course contact. That's where you find it, right there. I wish I could ask you guys if there are any questions. Like I said, this is an asynchronous class, so it's all going to be by recordings and office hours. And of course, you can email me. So there's other good stuff in here for how to work with Canvas too. That helps. But you guys can always email me. If you get stuck working in Canvas, I know how to teach in Canvas, but I don't know anything about how Canvas works. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not a software guy. So over here, you got help right there. Right there. You go help, and then you're going to find student support right there. You can call. I think it's 24 hours. You can call. You can live chat. It's taking a while to load. There's Canvas support. Oh, for us, for Pierce College. Did I pass this up? There we are. There we are. And then once again, down here, this is open. There's Canvas support there too, and technical support. So I'm not the guy to ask if you're having trouble, getting anything done in terms of submissions, or with your embedding images. I know a lot of it, but I want you guys to go to Canvas support to get those questions answered, because it's not my area of expertise. And they'll give you real patient guidance of anything you're struggling with in our Canvas platform that we're learning from here. So that's it. There will be a recording every week, guys, every week, and they won't be as long as this one generally. Sometimes I'll be going over our thumbnails, so those recordings can be a little longer, but they usually won't be as long as this. So I know it's a lot to sit through, but thanks for your patience. And I think I'm going to end this now. Okay, listen, I really look forward to working with every one of you, and I really look forward to everybody getting in the icebreaker and telling us about yourselves. Okay, let me quit this.